When you do this, you grow, you become wiser, you become smarter, you become more strategic, you become more self-aware, you become more aware of what works and what doesn't. Every week you're better, every week you're wiser, every week you make progress. I found a startling statistic that shows that 92% of people who set goals fail to accomplish them. And when you think about that, that is a ridiculously ridiculous number. And what that means is it's only 8%. And we can consider these people the creme de la creme, the elite, and all of those things. And I want to share with you what I am doing to make sure that I am part of the 8%. And I want to show you what you can do so you're part of the 8%. This is something that is within reach to everyone. Okay. Now, the backstory of this is, I have a training that I do every morning with some of my mentees in my faith-based mentorship program. That is a board meeting that we do. And, we plan out our week and all of those kind of things. And I remember doing this, and I've done it for this point about 3 years or so. And I had a big aha. I stumbled on the next version, the next evolution of that process. And I took it. It was so powerful that I had done it for a few days and I was like, there's no way. I have to be able to share this with the people that I do this with. And as I did it, I was like, no, I have to share this with everyone in my world. And so you may be an employed physician. It's kind of trying to figure out, what are my next steps and all of that. Or you may be somebody who is running a multi-7-figure business. This is a tool that's going to completely transform your life. It is a tool that I am using. I have made a commitment that I am going to use it every 90 days for the next 4 years. Okay. I'm going to use it every 90 days for the next 4 years. And at that point, I'm going to come back and evaluate and say, okay, where do we go from here? Okay. All right. So that tool is called the 20% Coach. Okay, it's called the 20% Coach. It's a journal, but I don't call it a journal because of the power of it. I want you to be aware that it's almost as though you get coached by me twice a week. And that is literally what this tool is. And the overarching concept is this. If I have focus and I have focus week to week, I can create unbelievable results. That is the first overarching thought. Like if I can be focused, and this tool allows me to do that. The second thing is that there are so many distractions and so many shiny objects and all of those things. And there's so many things we need to do, right? Like in any given day, there are a lot of things to be done and all of those things. What this tool helps you do is that it helps you prioritize. And so at every point in time, you're very clear. These are the most important things. These are the most important actions that will get me here. These are the most important ways I need to be thinking and all of that. And so in the midst of things being busy or things being chaotic, or you're in the middle of a big week for something, you're always clear on what the most important things to do are, and you get them done. Right? So I want you to think about living a life where you have focus week to week. You're very clear on what your priorities are. Like think about the level of transformation it will create. That is literally what this tool does. And so it's called a 20% Coach again, because it's like I'm coaching you twice a week. And, for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the tool. I'm going to get better at using the tool. I'm going to help everybody in my world use the tool. And I want to invite you to do the same. I have my 10-year-old and my 11-year-old using this tool as well, if you can imagine that. Okay. Because I know, my goodness, if they use this and they learn to get good at this and they get better and better at it, then what will happen is by the time they're teenagers, they'll be so far ahead, people 20, 30 years older than them. This is a master skill to develop. Okay. All right. So let me break it down. So this tool right here, it's a journal and it's designed to be used, like written in twice a week. Okay. And I'm just going to break down the segments because you just need to know what it is. Right. And so to start, it has this. It helps you set your determination. Okay. And so on the page that would typically say this journal belongs to whatever, this is what it says. This 20% Coach journal belongs to me. I have signed up for radical transformation over the next 90 days. Every week, I will strategically work with my 20% Coach journal to create my best week yet. everything is about to change and I'm all in. Okay. And it has a place for you to sign and to write your name and the date and all of that. And really what that does is it sets you in this frame of mind that I've signed up for radical transformation. I'm going to change a lot over the next 90 days. Everything's about to change. And that's really the energy you want to have as a person who's a high performer, a person who's going to change their lives, change their business, change their industry, change their family, all of that. Okay. So that's the starting point. The next big section is a section for your annual goals. And the reason why this is important is because I have lived a life where one year to the next, I did not accomplish any of my goals. I was very busy. I was very productive. I did a lot of things, but the actual goals that I set out to accomplish, I accomplished none of them. And the reason for that is there was no connection between what I did day to day and week to week. There's no connection between those and my annual goals, right? My annual goals, I wrote them in December. I forgot about them and then just went about life. And it was that year that was a big turning point for me because that's when I really became a student of time management, became a student of goal setting and all of those things because I'm like, this is a master skill. You can literally waste a year. Now, it wasn't a waste for me, but you see what I'm saying? Like you can optimize it. You can get the most out of it or you can get nothing out of it, right? Even though this is a 90-day journal, we have your annual goals, right there in all 9 areas of your life so that you can set those there. And every week you're referring to those before you work your plan for the week. So that way, every day is aligned to the week, which is aligned to the month, which is aligned to the quarter, which is aligned to where you're trying to go, your annual goals in the first place. Okay. All right. So you have a spot for your annual goals. You have a spot where it's broken down to your 90-day goals. So out of everything I want to do for the year, what portion do I want to capture over this 90-day block? Okay. Okay. And then after that, it has one of my favorite parts, which is the personal improvement plan. And I just want you to think about what your life would be if you're using this system and you're thinking this strategically every 90 days. Okay. So you have your personal improvement plan, and this is all about reading. Okay. And so the recommendation here is, read 1 to 2 books a month, right? And that will put you at 3 to 6 books for the 90-day period, right? And this is the quote here. You will be the same in 5 years as you are today. And I want you to think about that thought before you even think about the rest of the statement. Imagine 5 years from now being the same. That is horrible. I mean, like you'll be alive, you'll be, have family, all this stuff, you'll be okay. But the thing is, the opportunity cost is it's about what could have been, right? And we have so much potential. We have so much to give. We have so much evolution we can do. So our lives can be so much better. So we can have so much more of our time back. We can have so much more impact. Like there's so much opportunity. And so you will be the same person in 5 years as you are today, except for the people you meet and the books you read. And so if that's the case, I want to meet really high quality people. I want to read really great books. Okay. This is why, again, with the EntreMD Business School, one of the things we did is we built this fantastic community because I want people to change just by being in community with the people in the school where just that alone, the relationships they build alone will be worth their tuition in the school, other than what I do or the world-class mentorship that they get. Okay. And so this will put, and that quote is by Charlie Jones. And so this will put you in a position where you're doing 3 to 6 books. Okay. Over the course. But this is the kicker. For each section, you have the book, the name of the book, the author of the book. You have your top 3 lessons from the book. Like you could have learned 1 million things from the book, but what are your top 3 lessons from the book? Right. And why is this important? Because if you learn 3 things from every single book that you can capture, you can crystallize and have it in this journal that you can keep and refer back to and all of those things, that is a very powerful thing. And the next thing is what the top 3 actions I will take based on what I read. Again, if you read a book a month and you take 3 actions, that is 36 new actions, new strategic actions in your life and business. You cannot remain the same. If you read a book a month, that's 12. If you read 2 books a month, then we're talking about 24. You cannot remain the same if you do that, right? And so this way, you're not just reading the books absentmindedly or, reading and promptly forgetting about it. Because you have to crystallize these 3 things, you pay better attention, you get the highest level value from the books you're reading, okay? So you have the spot for that. Now you have one of my favorite spots, okay? And that is a 2-page document where you're looking at my best week yet. Now, so this is something that you come back to every single week, okay? Every single week, at the start of the week, for some people it's Sunday, for some people it's Monday. When you come there, first of all, it says my best week yet. So you're already programming yourself and wiring yourself like, every week is my best week yet. Every week is my best week yet. I make more progress. I experience more evolution. I upgrade my skills. I have bigger results. I have a bigger impact and all of those things, right? My life is becoming more of what I want it to be. So what do we do every week? We come and we look like, what are our top 3 wins from the previous week? This is so important because most people think it's not working. They're preoccupied by the construction site that is their business. They're very preoccupied with what is not working, so much so that a lot of times we're in the middle of one of the best seasons of our lives, in the middle of a miracle, and we completely miss it because we're not looking at that. And so this forces you to stop and look back and say, okay, what great stuff happened last week, right? Okay. And then the top 3 goals for the week. And of course, you can have more goals than that, but this tool is about capturing the most important things. It's about capturing your 20%, right? The things that move the needle the most. It's about prioritizing properly. So if I gave you space to write 7 things, you write a lot of things. If I give you space for 3 things, you write better things. That's the point. You write much better things. Okay. So 3 goals for the week. And then for each of those goals, the top 3 actions that will get me the results, right? Because a lot of times people have the goals, but they don't break it down to a pathway. So the goals can never become a reality because there's nothing they're working on day to day to get there. So here you have the top 3 actions for each goal. And then you go ahead and schedule those in your calendar. So those become calendar items. You do them. Those actions are so strategic because they help you accomplish your top 3 goals. Those top 3 goals are most aligned with your 9-day goals, with your year goal, and all of that. So you become this very strategic, very focused person. Okay. And then I have another section. What is the top 3 ways I'm going to show up? Right. And if you think about it, like sometimes, maybe you're a leader, you have a team, you're a private practice, you have a big team, and you're a negative person. And when you think about it, then your team underperforms because they're led by somebody who's the thermostat of the company and keeps it at a negative setting. And so you're like, okay, I'm not going to show up that way. I'm going to show up positive. I'm going to show up casting vision. I'm going to show up energetically. I'm going to be empathic, like whatever that is. Like, the ways you showed up that have costed you. And now you're like, okay, I'm not going to show up that way anymore. You have the opportunity to write the top 3 limiting beliefs that have stopped you. And again, you can look back. The last time I had goals like this, what stopped me? What is that negative chatter? So now it's not this thing of, oh, my mind drama. No, you name and shame. Okay. You name and shame those negative thoughts and all those things. And then you can choose in advance. These are the top 3 empowering beliefs I'm going to focus on instead. Now, when you think about these things, I just want you to think about this, right? If you do this every week, what happens to you? What happens to you every week if you're so strategic? It's working because you looked at the wins, your action, your goals, the actions that will take you there. You've decided ahead of time how you're going to show up. You've decided ahead of time the limiting beliefs that typically come for you and how you're going to overcome them. And these things are all linked to your 90-day goal and your annual goal. So they're very strategic. Imagine doing this every week, right? And that is the reason why we created this tool. And so it's called the 20% coach. You can get it on EntreMD.com/journal. Okay. And then you can grab your copy, but this is something that is going to radically change your life. Okay. All right. Now, I said this was my favorite part, my next favorite part. So this you would do at the start of the week, the first part, the part we talked about. But at the end of the week, you're going to come and you're going to reflect on the week. Now, when I talk to the doctors in the EntreMD Business School about this, I tell them that you can tap into the wisdom of your experience by reflecting. And if you don't reflect, you have the experience, but you don't have the wisdom. Right? So there's no return on investment on the experience. If you become a person who can reflect, even the experiences that were bad, quote unquote, you can learn from them. You can reflect on them and learn from them such that they're going to end up giving you wisdom that will make it where it was not a disadvantage because you learned some really powerful lessons from it, right? Okay. You're looking at your ahas for the week, your reflections, like what did you learn? And there's some prompts here, like, what did I learn about myself? What did you learn about yourself? Stop and think, like the way I showed up, the way different things affected me, things that were triggers for me, things that energized me to do what I needed to do and all of that. Like, what did you learn about yourself? Another prompt here is what worked this week, right? Of all the strategies that I employed, what actually worked? Because the principle here is do more of what works and less of what doesn't. And if you don't know what works, then you can't be more strategic. There's no way to be. A lot of times when people talk about results they want to hit in their business and all of that stuff, I always start from what has worked before, right? Okay. What did I procrastinate or avoid this week and why, right? And you look at that, like, where did I procrastinate? So you can call it out. So you can figure out why you did it. so you can figure out how to overcome it, so you can stop doing it, so you can create the results. And then this is one of the most powerful questions. It is, if I were to start this week over, what would I do differently? So I woke up, it was a dream. And it wasn't really let's say the 27th of the month. I'm going all the way back. It's now the 18th of the month. I get to do this week over. What would I do differently? Because there you get to pull the wisdom of the experience, and going into the new week, you can be a new person. You can show up in a new way. Right? And so doing this, what this does is it puts you in a position where your actions are really strategic. Your actions are really aligned. You're very clear on your priorities, your work, your priorities. And so, yes, you may have many things to do, but in the midst of those many things, you are really focused on the top 3 things, and those things are getting done. If you must procrastinate on something, it is not the top 3 things that are getting procrastinated. So it makes you do that, and it makes you stop. So maybe you do this on Saturday, right? Maybe you do it on Saturday, or you do it on Friday, or you do it on Sunday, all depends, right? But you're doing this at the end of the week. And I do recommend doing it on a different day from the actual goal setting. When you do this, you grow, you become wiser, you become smarter, you become more strategic, you become more self-aware, you become more aware of what works and what doesn't, and all of those things. And so if you do that, that means every week you're better, every week you're wiser, every week you make progress. The version of you that then goes to do it for the next week is smarter, is wiser, is stronger, is more strategic. And so you're building and building and building and building. I really struggled with the thought of, do I make this a year-long thing? Do I make this a 90-day thing? Well, the thing with year-long things is it's hard to grasp a year, right? But you can grasp 90 days. And so I want you to imagine doing this every week, twice a week for 90 days. What would happen is, it's not just growth, it's exponential growth, right? Because look at it this way. You do it for week 1, that's you 1.0. At the end of the week, you're you 2.0. Okay. So you do it for the next week. And then at the end of that week, you're now you 3.0, then 4.0, then 5.0, then 6.0. So it's not just you building on you, it's you building on better versions of you. Right? So when I first discovered this, I was so excited. I started doing it. I was like, no, this is not possible. I cannot do this by myself. And so I made this into a journal, and, started sharing it with the people who, come with me on those Mondays to set goals and do all of these things. And then I looked around, I was like, this is impossible. And I started sharing with, people in the EntreMD business school, people in Scale. And then I found out it's a tool for everybody in my world. I have my children. My children are 17, 15, 11, and 10. My 10 and 11-year-old, they're working this journal because I'm like, oh my goodness, if they can learn how to do this, how strategic would they be when they're 14 and 15, right? Like, just think about it, right? And so this is a tool that I know, because I'm already excited in anticipation of the version of me that I'm going to meet after I've done this for 90 days. Right? I made a commitment. I said, over the next 4 years, I will do this every week, twice a week, every week over the next 4 years. That means I'm going to end up with 16 of these journals. And it will be so interesting to go back and look at what the limiting beliefs were, to look at the wins I was celebrating, to look at, the actions I was taking, the things that I've now delegated and gotten off my plate as opposed to doing them myself. I think it will be a really fun tool, like 10 years from now, to give to my children, to say, you can literally go from where you are to become anything that, God has equipped you to be, because, and especially leveraging this system. And I can say, you looking at mommy now, but this was mommy 10 years ago, right? I think that will be such a powerful tool. And for them, it will be so powerful for them to see that, right? And so, I want to invite you. This is a tool that I am convinced this is some work that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 40 years from now, 50 years from now, people still walk up to me and say, Dr. Una, everything changed for me when I started doing this. And I have the people in the business school doing it. I have everyone in my world, my mentees, everybody doing this. Okay. So what do I want you to do? I want you to go entremd.com/journal. I want you to go get your copy. Okay. It's for 90 days, and we'll let you know when it's time to reorder. It's all there in the book and stuff like that. I want you to grab your copy. I want you to do it every week. Okay. I want you to do it every week. I don't want you to say, oh, I know this stuff. Like, please don't say this. I was actually talking with a friend of mine, and this friend of mine, she's a gazillionaire. Okay. She's a gazillionaire. And when I started telling her about it, she was like, you and I, we're ultra successful, and we understand that it's not some complex thing that creates the big results. It's the simple things, the basic things, the fundamentals done with mastery. Right? It's mastery of the fundamentals. And she says, some people will still walk up to me and they want to know what the thing is. And I'm like, they expecting something really complicated and all of that. And they're just like, that's it. Right. And so I want you to do this every week, like fully all in, do it. And I want you to do it better every week. So not just coming back and doing the same exact thing, because remember, the you is new now. It's a new you. And I want you to up level the way you use the tool, because guess what? If you think about the person who couldn't make the NBA because of, they just weren't a good player, and you think about Michael Jordan, guess what they both had in their hands? A basketball. Guess where they both had to put it? In a basket. So it's not about like the tool is great, but I want you to approach the great tool with an upgraded version of you every single time. So use the tool better every time, and then get everybody in your world using the tool. You've wondered how you can influence your family, how you can influence your community, how you can influence your industry. Get them using the tool with you. Give them this podcast episode, share it with them, have them get the tool, buy it for the people in your world. Because what will happen at the end of the day, your network is your net worth. And so one of the things I do is I constantly put myself in bigger and bigger rooms, but I also constantly up level the network that I do have. Because if they're all up leveled, then my up leveling is exponential. It's not just with what I can do, right? Okay. So get your copy, do it every week, do it better every week, get everybody in your world doing it. And when you get your copy, share with us. We create an Instagram page for this, is at 20% coach. So 20 is the number, but percent is not the sign, it's spelled out. So at 20% coach on Instagram, and share with us, share your wins with us, share a picture of you with your journal, maybe you with your kids with the journal and all these things. But I am telling you, this right here is going to change your world. It's going to change your world. It's going to change the world of everyone around you. It is simple, but it's some of my best work captured as a tool, right? And so, yes, that's why I didn't call it a journal. I called it a 20% coach, because now I can coach you twice a week. I can hold you accountable twice a week. I can call you to higher levels of yourself twice a week. I can help you reflect twice a week. But I will tell you what is going to happen in my life over the next 90 days. I am going to be unrecognizable to myself, to my family, to my community, to my industry. Okay? Because I'm going to work this. I'm going to do exactly what I told you. I got my copy. I'm going to use it every week. I'm going to use it better every week. And I'm helping everybody in my world do the same thing. Right? Okay. So I'm going to be completely different. What I want for you, even if you're like, Dr. Yoon, I don't know about that. I'm sure I have lived before you with enough integrity. I have over delivered for you. You've seen that I always up level what I do for you. Always, always. I have never not done that. I have never not done that over the last 7 years that I have led EntreMD, almost 7 years. And so I just want you to have faith. I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to believe what it says in the beginning, that I've signed up for radical transformation, and I'm going to work it, and I'm going to change. And for, I know some of you listening, you're in the EntreMD Business School, or you're in the Profitable Private Practice movement. You have something so amazing. You add this to it. We're talking, you're already creating wild wins and doing all of these things. We're talking exponential. This is going to be so good for you. Okay. So EntreMD.com/journal. I want you to mark today's date. I want you to understand that there is a version of you're going to meet 90 days from now. There is a kind of business you're going to see 90 days from now. There is a level of confidence and your skill set and all that you're going to see 90 days from now that's going to blow your mind. Get the journal, use it better every week, get everybody in your world using it. Everything's about to change for you. And I cannot wait to celebrate it all with you. So go get it, get to work, go post on Instagram, tag us at 20% coach. I want to celebrate you too, shout you out too. And I'll see you on the next episode of the EntreMD podcast.